When I last spoke in this chamber 12 months ago, I had just inherited a nation in crisis. But tonight, after just 1 year, I can say with dignity and pride that we have achieved a transformation like no one has ever seen before, and a turnaround for the ages. It is indeed a turnaround for the ages.
Last night, President Trump delivered his first official State of the Union of his second term, highlighting the achievements so far and all of the groundwork still for the future. From tax cuts and tariffs to border security and his one big beautiful bill, the president laid out what he says is America's golden age. Joining us to discuss, RNC senior advisor Danielle Alvarez from the Republican National Committee. Good morning, Danielle. Your initial reaction to the president's speech last night?
I thought the president did an incredible job meeting the moment. We all know that he performs best in moments like this, all eyeballs on him. He did what we expected him to do. He laid out all of the victories and wins that he has accomplished over the last year. He drew an incredible contrast between the failures of Democrat policies, the hole that the American people were in when he took office, and the great successes he's had in the last year. He also laid out a roadmap for the future, what he is anticipating to do, what he hopes and will lean on Congress to accomplish as we head into the midterms. But there was some great moments of unity, and I think that that really is what caught my attention the most. The celebration of the nation's 250th birthday, medals to service members, the U.S. hockey team. We even saw moments where Democrats stood up and applauded in unity for this country.
What is the GOP's midterm strategy at this point?
As we're headed toward the midterms, we've always talked about how good governance is going to be our springboard and our platform. And of course, our secret weapon is President Donald Trump. We saw him outline a lot of those great policies that have turned the economy around, have led to some great economic indicators. That one big beautiful bill, working family tax cuts, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, of course, most favored nation, drug pricing, and then, of course, bolstered by Trump RX. We have also heard the Susie Wiles, the chief of staff of the White House, talk about having President Trump go out and deliver this message, not just in Congress, not just in the State of the Union before this chamber, but of course across the country to everyday Americans. That's part of the secret weapon, but of course it all hinges on that good governance.
Right, and you know, the president also spotlighted families impacted by criminal illegal aliens and really the invasion we had at the border during the Biden administration, he said. And in one moment that really stood out, dared Democrats to support his immigration crackdown. Watch this.
If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
How powerful is that message to voters when it comes to the border and to national security heading into November?
That was a critical moment. I think that the president did a great thing in drawing a stark contrast between Republicans' America First priorities and Democrat priorities. It was a very powerful moment that we all witnessed live on TV last night, as is being replayed today. This president has secured the southern border. He has slowed the flow of fentanyl into our country, not just through our southern border, but through drug interdictions in our waters. He has done a great job of protecting our citizens and keeping us safe. Crime has dropped. And then again, of course, focusing on those economic issues where we're starting to see those great economic indicators. And we're going to start feeling that in our pockets and start being able to have those conversations at our kitchen table. This president is doing all the right things heading into the midterms. Now he needs to go deliver that message in communities across the country. Republican
National Committee Senior Advisor Danielle Alvarez, thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
I'm Christine Frizzell at the White House, where the economy is front and center following President Trump's State of the Union address. One big question on a lot of people's minds is, will voters have a change of heart ahead of the midterm elections? On the topic on the top of voters' minds, President Trump appeared to have gotten the message. It's the economy.
Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world, the hottest. It's getting bigger and bigger and stronger. Nobody can believe what they're watching.
Many recent polls showing voters do not, in fact, believe the country is moving in the right direction where their wallets are concerned. For that, the president blamed Democrats.
They caused and created the increased prices that all of our citizens had to endure. You caused that problem. You caused that problem.
His administration out in full force, touting the lowering of prescription drug prices, tax cuts, and what's being called a new age of American prosperity.
Real wages are up, blue-collar wages are up, inflation is down, consumer confidence is up, job numbers in the private sector are up.
Where do you think the disconnect is? Because so many polls, and we're talking Democrats and Republicans, still feel that the economy is not where they want it to be, not where President Trump promised it would be.
What's happening is that people are seeing that they're getting raises, that their jobs are more secure, and that's lifting spirits quite a bit.
A decidedly different perspective from Democrats.
This was Donald Trump's state of delusion. He's in a bubble. He doesn't even know what the average American is going through.
He's enriching himself, his family, his friends. The scale of the corruption is unprecedented. There's the cover-up of the Epstein files, the crypto scams, cozying up to foreign princes for airplanes and billionaires for ballrooms.
President Trump getting ready to take his message on the road, heading to Texas later this week ahead of the state primary there. We expect he will hone in on his economic plan and also speak directly to Latino voters, many of whom supported him in 2024, but who polls show may be having a change of heart. At the White House, I'm Christine Frizzell.
President Trump's State of the Union address comes as affordability remains a dominant issue for American voters. Let's go to Morgan Stevens at the Fact Check team. And Morgan, even with inflation cooling, new research that I know that you reviewed shows that Americans still feel negatively about the economy. Speak to us about what's driving that.
Dee Dee, a survey from Pew found that most Americans continue to view the economy negatively, even a year into President Trump's second term. That perception appears to be rooted in cost of living.
And which cost specifically, as we look into this further, are Americans saying that is the source of their stress, their anxiety?
It really comes down to these core expenses that people really need to live. AP NORC data captured in 2025 shows that most Americans say that groceries are a source of financial stress. Next is the cost of housing. Then people are stressed about the lack of money saved and their income. They also mention the cost of health care, credit card debt, child care, and student debt.
Well, you mentioned credit card debt, and that's a big one. People reaching for that credit card and taking on more expenses. How have Americans' spending habits changed, if at all?
Yeah, that needs a little bit of nuance too. Americans, they're still spending, but a December survey from Statista reveals that the other half say they're actually making efforts to spend less. A third are worried about not being able to pay their bills, and 22% are actually dipping into their savings to cover their bills. So the takeaway here is that cooling it's great, but it doesn't mean that prices have lowered. And for most families, the cost of living still feels high, even if that rate of increase has slowed.
And it seems like they're measuring it based on how they get by day to day and what those finances look like. Morgan, thank you. For more on this Fact Check Team topic, including links to their sources, scan the QR code or visit thenationaldesk.com. We continue our breaking news coverage on President Trump's State of the Union address tonight as affordability continues to be top of mind for many Americans. Let's go to Morgan Stevens with the Fact Check team. And as you know, the president has campaigned on affordability issues, lowering costs since day one. Where do the numbers stand tonight, 1 year into his second term?
Dee Dee, affordability is a central issue for voters, and the president is again making the case that his policies are bringing relief to working families. Data shows inflation has cooled, but it hasn't disappeared. The Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation, dropped 2.7% in December to 2.4% in January. That's a 0.3% decline. So that is a sign price increases are slowing, but it may not be enough yet for Americans to really feel it. So
unfortunately, cooling doesn't mean cheap, and prices are still significantly higher than they were before inflation peaked in June of 2022.
So if inflation is easing and Americans, as you just mentioned, they are saying that they're feeling squeezed, which items in particular are still elevated in price?
Some of those basic items is really what Americans are feeling. They remain stubbornly high. These are things like rent, car insurance, utilities, and childcare costs. They continue to outpace wage growth in many markets. Groceries have leveled off somewhat, but they're still up sharply compared to 4 years ago.
So bottom line, inflation is cooling, as we mentioned, but overall, those prices remain elevated. Thank you so much, Morgan. Morgan will be back to break down in a few moments how Americans feel about the cost of living and what the actual numbers are.